Good morning. These are your Nassau Guardian highlights for Monday, March 8th, 2026, brought to you by Your Daily Bahamas Headlines, especially for people on the go and those who are visually impaired. Leading the news today, debate continues over the recent arbitration ruling involving the Grand Bahama Port Authority and the government of the Bahamas. The Port Authority says the ruling does not establish liability to the government and insists that the status quo in Freeport remains largely unchanged. In a letter to licensees, the GBPA said the tribunal did not determine that any money is currently owed to the government. The dispute centers on the government's claim that the Port Authority owed more than $357 million for services provided in the port area. The tribunal confirmed that the government is entitled to request payments after annual reviews under the Hawksbill Creek Agreement, but it did not determine that a specific amount is currently due. The Davis administration has described the ruling as a historic victory, affirming Bahamian sovereignty in Freeport, while the GBPA says the decision simply clarified the existing framework. Opposition leader Michael Pintard says an FNM government would enforce the review mechanism under the agreement to determine whether payments should be made to the government. In other national news, National Security Minister Wayne Munroe says regional security cooperation must respect national sovereignty as Caribbean and Latin American leaders work together to combat narcotics, trafficking, and organized crime. Speaking at a regional counter-cartel conference in Florida, Munroe said security partnerships must be based on mutual respect and shared responsibility. He also called for greater resources and support for small island nations like the Bahamas, noting the country's vast maritime territory and the challenges it presents for law enforcement. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is warning Bahamians in the Middle East to exercise heightened caution as tensions escalate in the conflict involving Iran, the United States, and Israel. The government is advising Bahamian nationals to avoid non-essential travel to several countries in the region and, where necessary, to shelter in place due to the risk of sudden escalation and possible travel disruptions. In another story making headlines, animal rights activists are demanding justice after a video circulated online showing a corrections officer fatally shooting a dog during an incident involving police canines. The video sparked widespread outrage on social media, with critics calling the killing unnecessary and inhumane. Also in the news, a mother is pleading for help for her 6-year-old daughter who suffers from spastic diplegia, a form of cerebral palsy that affects mobility. The child has undergone treatments and therapy, but her mother says the family continues to struggle to access the medical care and support needed to improve her quality of life. In crime news, police on Grand Bahama are investigating 3 separate stabbing incidents over the weekend that left 2 men dead and several others injured. One victim was killed following a fight outside a business in 8 Mile Rock, while another, a 17-year-old male, was fatally stabbed during an attack in Freeport. Investigations into the incidents continue. Meanwhile, an American tourist was fined $500 after authorities discovered a small amount of marijuana in his luggage at Lynden Pindling International Airport. The visitor told the court he bought the marijuana legally in Colorado, but did not realize possession was illegal in the Bahamas. Turning to the editorial page, The Guardian argues that political leaders should avoid spinning the outcome of the GBPA arbitration for political gain. The editorial says while the ruling clarified aspects of government authority in Freeport, it did not grant sweeping new powers or determine that money is currently owed. The paper is urging both the government and opposition to focus on cooperation and a clear economic strategy for Grand Bahama. In letters to the editor, one writer argues that the tribunal ruling did not overturn the governance structure of Freeport, but simply clarified the legal relationship between government authority and the Hawksbill Creek Agreement. Another letter questions the transparency of the procurement process for laundry services at the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services. And those are your Nassau Guardian highlights for this Monday. For the full stories and additional coverage, be sure to purchase a copy of today's Nassau Guardian or visit their website to read the complete edition. As we close, remember this. Staying informed is one of the most powerful tools a citizen can have. Enjoy your day, be blessed, and be a blessing.